Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Bullied and dunked on. Welcome to the Thrival Journey. We're a new podcast dedicated to empowering entrepreneurs to uncover and embrace their purpose here on Earth. As multifaceted human beings, we strive to navigate our financial, mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. And that's what this podcast is all about. We're here to inspire, uplift, and equip you with the tools to thrive on your journey to greatness. All we ask in return is your support. 1, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or 2, download the podcast from your favorite platform. Your engagement, it helps us grow and attract incredible guests who will enrich your life with valuable insights and wisdom. Now, in turn, we promise to keep bringing you content that enlivens, edifies, and elevates your journey, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a human being. And with that, I want to thank you for being a part of the Thrivewell Journey. And welcome to another episode of the Thrivewell Journey. I'm your host, L. Michael Burt. And today oh my God, I don't even really have words right now because I'm excited to bring to you 3 of my great friends. It's supposed to be 4, but 3 my great friends, my ace boom coons, my trues that we met years ago and we'll talk about. And I have Reagan Sydney, Mark Davis, Chris Gibson. What's up, y'all?
Hey, baby.
What up?
What's up? How you doing?
Good to be here.
What is it? It is
Pod.
Pod.
You know?
Okay, we have
One thing about podcasts, you gonna get the whole life, and life
gonna
is
get the whole shebang.
We have a fourth guest.
This honestly is probably one of the most surreal moments that I've had on a podcast, and I do a lot of this. So yeah. This is honestly the most surreal moments that I've had in this kind of space. Since I'm glad y'all here. This, and I'm super grateful. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited.
Well, when I was talking to Yvonne, who she helps produce, she produces the podcast with me, and I was like, I thought of this episode because I was talking to people that I don't really know, right? I get a moment to meet with them and I can create an instant connection with them. And I was like, what would it be like for someone that I already know, that I know, they know me, I know them, and how would that energy actually flow as we're just looking at each other through the camera?
Two different ways, right?
Yeah. My first question for you, all 3. Who is Reagan Sydney? Who is Mark Davis? Who is Chris Gibson? Reagan, go ahead and start.
Today?
Yeah, who are you today?
So today, Reagan Sydney is a event planner. She is a chef. She is a political influencer here in town of New Orleans. Lives in New Orleans, Louisiana, where she grew up in Ann Arbor, as most of you do know, but she's been here for the last almost 20 years now, 17 years. She's single. She's a homeowner.
Hello.
Ready to mingle?
There you go.
Oh, I
Put it out there.
What's so crazy is I've been trying to date and I just like being single.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
no wrong with that.
I'm
Ain't no wrong with it.
comfortable in this skin, and I just realized I actually had to break up with someone recently, and I felt bad because I didn't do it.
Y'all.
I didn't do it well.
See.
And I own that. I did not do it well, and I had to apologize because I just realized that this is not what I want for my life, and I didn't do it well. So yeah.
Well, that's honest.
I'm Bacchus's mom. I have an amazing dog.
That's the fourth guest you hear in the background.
That's the dog that you hear in the background. I bought this house 3 months ago. It has a pool and an outdoor space and all the things that I've been wanting literally my whole life. And so I cannot tell you how much I am so grateful to God that he finally found a way to give me everything that I've been wanting.
There you go.
That's just the beginning, and that's
Amen
what he
to
keeps
that.
telling me.
Amen.
It's just
Yeah.
the beginning. Even when I had this house blessed, God told me that this is your first house. This is not the house.
That's the starter home.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Davis. Who is Mark Davis?
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm just a brother of peace, love, and joy. from the D, from the D, go Lions. So I can finally say something like that. But just trying to live a life of purpose. And yes, indeed, continue to lead with love. I'm a financial aid advisor. I'm a new author,
There you go.
screenwriter, lover. No, but yeah, just on a mission to really at this stage of my life give back, and in ways that's authentic to me. So, in a nutshell, that's who Mark Davis is and what I'm all about. So,
well, hello, Mark Davis.
yes, indeed.
AKA Pac.
There you go. Yeah. My Western folks still got the name going for sure.
That's
so funny. Yeah. It's so funny because, we're still connected. Even though if we don't talk for months or years, it's like when we do talk, we pick up right where we left off. There's like nothing missing, right? Pac and Mark and I had a conversation, I don't know, it was months ago. And I was like, oh, man, I talked to Mark in so long. Do I even call him Pac anymore? Like, but he was like, people still call me Pac, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Steve called me the other day and he was like, happy birthday, Pac. So it's all love, man.
Forever,
Yes, indeed.
Chris.
Well, man, I'm honored to be on this podcast. I see what you're doing, Sands. You're doing an amazing job. And so when you called, I was like, man, anything, anytime, any place, just let me know. I'll be there. So thank you for this opportunity. But I think Reagan hit it on the head when you asked that question. Like, if you mean right now, today, I will speak from the current tense. And so I am a father of two amazing kids, Olivia, Jonah. My daughter is a junior at University of Texas in Austin. My son is a junior in high school. And so I'm also a husband to Monique Gibson of 22 years. She's an amazing woman. And guess what, y'all? Mike Burt is the one who hooked me up with my wife, just in case y'all didn't know.
And no Mike was out there like hitching people up.
I'm a Cupid.
Yeah, so Mike is
no idea. That's dope.
Mike, if without Mike, I'm not here. I'm not married. I don't have kids. Like my life would probably be a little different. But I am a principal. I've been in education now for going on 23 years. I've been in administration for the last 10. I am an author, and I am an ordained minister as well. And I believe my calling in life is just to basically be an example of Christ wherever I go, and make Christ known, and then just make his love known. And so that's what I do. I try to love people, love kids, obviously, and just and do what I do.
There you go. Well, again, welcome, y'all. Hey, the funny thing is, I was always thinking through time after Western and all that. I was like, man, we met in 1995.
95, 96. Yeah.
Yeah.
95,
Yeah.
90.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, 95, 96. I think, well, Chris and I met in 97, I think.
Yeah.
Pac and I knew each other since 95.
Yeah.
95.
Reagan and 96. I since 96. Chris, 96, 97. I think it was 97.
That's right.
Dude, how much time has flown by, man?
A long time. I met a kid today. I met a woman today. A woman, grown ass woman. She was born in 94.
She was born in 94.
I could have been your mama. God bless me that I'm not your mama.
Hey, listen.
I'm just saying.
Listen, it's some people our age that's grandparents. So
That's true.
Listen,
Yes.
a lot of our friends
real.
are grandparents. A
Yes.
That's
lot of
real.
our friends are grandparents.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm a great uncle,
There you
and
go.
like 47, going on 48. I'm a great uncle. Actually, it's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a blessing indeed, for sure.
It is a
And
blessing.
children,
A
I
lot of
love.
cats didn't make it.
So, Mark, do you have children?
No kids.
Me either.
Yeah. Single, no kids.
And
I'm
I'm
the
okay.
only one on this podcast who got kids. Like,
You're the only one on this podcast who's married.
If Eric was here, he would
married.
be with you. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we are missing a fourth person, Eric. Eric is actually his anniversary is on Thursday, and he did not tell his wife he was going to be on a podcast today. So she booked him and her a flight to Denver, Colorado for their anniversary.
Oh wow.
So he calls me today, or yesterday, he was like, man, I can't make it, man. My wife, man, she booked me a flight, man, in Denver. I was like, bro, like, did you not tell her you were going to be on a podcast? Nah, man, I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought we was going to do something else, though.
I thought it was going to be a regular Wednesday night.
Right.
So we are missing him, but he's here in spirit and in the air.
Now,
So
is he married? He's married. Does he have kids too?
he has one kid from earlier, not from this marriage.
So this is the second marriage. Okay.
Yep. Second marriage. Yep. So, Mark hit on some of the things that we're going to talk about, but I want to kind of share the intention of the show, and we'll get deep into it later on. But really, the intention of the show is to show like transformative stories, your stories, and we'll talk about you finding your purpose, or are you finding your purpose, and talk about your power of resilience, your vision, and authenticity in creating a life of greatness and significance. It's a lot, right?
Yeah, that's deep, right?
It's very, very a lot of mouthful.
Yeah. On a Wednesday night too.
I mean, gosh. During happy hour.
A long day at work. I don't know.
Jeez, I don't know. And what's on your mind when I say Reagan? You go first. Don't.
I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't gonna do that. I wouldn't even gonna do that.
Well, good.
Reagan, go for it. No, I'm just kidding. What's on your mind when I say that, though?
Well, I mean, I will say this. I think the what's happened in my life is that I have continuously evolved. There's never been a moment, even between, like, I remember my 20s when I moved to Maryland, I found myself as a woman for the first time. I think I was a little girl, younger, when I was in my early 20s, 18, 19, 20s. But when I turned 25, 26, 27, there was a change that happened, that I found myself, and I actually dated an older man at that time. So he helped me kind of navigate that space. In my 30s, I learned how to be broke and be good.
What does that mean?
Oh,
as a person, or
was horrible.
Dang.
I was so damn broke.
Oh man.
The entire time. But I went to Israel. I went to Jamaica. I've been to all these places. And I just enjoyed my 30s, but it was hard. Like, I worked really, really hard to just live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what other 30-year-olds need to understand is it's not going to be easy, because you're trying to find your footing and trying to learn how to save and still live, and still, you're an adult now, when you're in your 30s. But then when you hit your 40s,
things start to coast a little better.
Baby. You make a little more better decisions. You sexually free. honestly. And I think that's something to be said about women, especially Black women who don't own always their sexuality very well. I think also we are moving into learning how to spend and save and be make really good financial decisions, which is super important at this age.
Really?
I bought this house because I make entirely too much money not to. Like it just didn't make sense not to. You know what I'm saying? Like I just
Mhm.
and I don't have a husband. I don't have anybody else. So when I don't make the rent, guess what? Ain't no rent. Hey, mortgage. Figure it out. But I'm also a bona fide hustler. Reagan. Always have been.
Okay.
I don't have a problem working hard. And I think that's one thing that I would, if I could teach this generation that's coming up right now, they have a hard time working hard and they
It's a
don't know
different
what that
generation.
should look like. They don't understand how important it is to give your all to somebody and to something. This is why their relationships don't work. And this is also why they can't keep a job.
You know, that's a good question. I mean, that's a good view. What do you think what does influence their actions into being that kind of person?
You asking me?
Anyone?
I was gonna say because I'll tell you what it is. It's us. It's our fault. We
The
made it look
generation before.
easy. It's
That-
their
Generation before.
fault. Their parents said, "We got you no matter what," and that's the problem.
Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I can attest to that and agree to that parents played a part. I would think the change in technology plays a huge role as well.
Yeah.
A bigger role than I think we even can imagine, right? Like just think of kids nowadays, they're just seeing snapshots, highlight reels in real time. Well, I don't know how real you want to call social media,
I hear
social media platforms, with respect to the podcast, of course.
Well, it's part of the soup,
Yeah,
man.
where you going with this, man? No, but I think that plays a huge part in what the younger generation and how they feel and how they might approach life and maybe being a little bit more reserved, if you will, in their approach with things and work. So I think social media definitely put a spin on that for sure for them in the younger generation.
Yeah, Chris, you have two teenagers, one in college, one high school, doing well. What is your view?
Yeah, so no, I think Mark hit it on the head. And I'm going to speak I can speak from a parental's perspective, but I also can speak from a principal perspective because I see it in my school. So what's different now is, social media has changed everything. It has changed the way people parent their kids. It has changed traditional values that we grew up with. It is, your image is everything at this point. And you know, even if you have kids who grow up in a two-parent home or they, are raised well or they, they're involved in all these activities, they still have to battle comparison. They still have to battle, keeping up with the Joneses. And, they have the imagery of the Kardashians or, you know, Nicki Minaj or whoever it is, that's who they're trying to be like. And so they bring that into the schoolhouse. And so, when we have dress code violations, they don't understand that. Or if they're talking back to the teachers or adults, parents are like, "Well, what's wrong with that? She's expressing herself. She's advocating for herself." And we're just like, "Okay, if my mama had to come up here and talk to me about this stuff, she would be on the news." And it's like today, you don't have that. I mean, it's like, you're parenting parents. I mean, we have to have parenting classes for parents.
Yeah.
And it's just a totally different dynamic. And I think you can even go and that's not even including COVID. what COVID did to that, demographic of children is amazing. And they're still coming out of that. So I think when you compare, that with the social media, with the different era, our society is way different than it was even just 15 years ago.
When you talking about that, my mind went back to elementary. I remember my mom got some kind of note for how I was acting or my classes or whatever. So we went to the school. We walked down the street to the school. My mom talked to the teacher. Got done talking to the teacher. We walking back up the street. And my mom asked me, "Are you going to do, I don't know, homework or whatever the teacher had asked me to do or told her about that I should be doing?" I said, "No." Just like that.
Wow.
I didn't know what was coming next.
Wow.
We got to the house
Okay.
and she said, "What? Now, what'd you say?"
No. No,
Wow.
sir.
Boy, I got my butt torn up.
All the way.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
that probably wouldn't happen today, though.
No.
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 Not, yeah.
Well, that's
As-
your right. That's your right. No, it's not your right. And that's the problem. These rights and reserves and all of that. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, we can go down. There's a whole level of politics that go behind this, right? And we're not going to go. Hopefully, we'll stay away from that tonight because I don't have it in me. But I will say this. I think there's something to be said about parenting your kids. And, my brother has 4 boys. And all of them respect him to an amazing level because he don't play that shit.
Ryan don't play.
Like, he is like, listen, my father raised me, my mother raised me, and what I am going to do is raise my sons. And it's something about that has to be said. Like, you're not your kid's friend.
Correct.
You are their parent.
Mm-hmm.
It is your responsibility to make sure that they don't kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. Get your kid.
It's at the home.
Get your kid.
Get your kid. Yeah.
Let me get mine. Hold on. Let me get mine.
Get your kid. Yeah.
Get your kid.
Mine real quick. Why is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's the difference of generations for sure. Yeah. Being raised by social media is a travesty. I mean, the intention of what social media was supposed to be was more to connect and,
Right.
all that good stuff, but it's been bastardized. It's been
Let's back up. It was not. It was to share information.
share information. You're right. You're
Remember,
right.
the World Wide Web was not for anything else but to share information. We were only supposed to be doing this. Remember this back when we were in like 10th and 9th grade, back in the 1900s, and they would think, "Oh, we're gonna give you this thing, and all you have to do is click this button."
Yeah, but wait, why'd you say 1900s like that though?
Yeah,
Reagan. Why'd you say 1900s like that? Like we like Methuselah?
Back in the 1900s.
Back in the 1900s.
All the time, my friends were cracking up. Like, you are crazy. One of my good friends told me that. She was like, back in the 1900s, this is how we were raised. I was like, is she not wrong?
It makes me feel so old.
Yeah.
Because 2000s is very different.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. That's true.
Anything else to be said about that?
I mean, you got these millennials who are parents, and I think, like I deal with a lot of parents who, they're probably in their mid-30s or maybe younger than that.
Yeah.
And their idea of parenting is totally different. It used to be where, like, if a teacher called your parents and just said, "Hey, Mike was talking in class today," or, Reagan didn't do her homework, or, Mark wasn't, paying attention. Man, that was it. There was no debate. There was no argument. It was like, that, okay, thank you for calling. I'm gonna handle it. Today, no, that whole conversation is like, well, what do you mean? She didn't have her homework. I know she turned it in. You just lost it or something. I mean, like they're just it's
Just talking about
it is not a partnership like it used to be. And I think that's one reason why you see a lot of educators today leaving the field,
They do.
because they don't want to put up with these parents. It's not the kids. Because see, here's the thing:
parent.
kids are going to be kids. Their brains are not fully developed. We
Right.
expect kids to make mistakes. That's why they're in school. I could deal with kids all day. It's the parents that take the air out of the room. And so
Oh,
I think that's the issue and the problem that a lot of us are having in at least in my field. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
How do you navigate that as a principal?
I mean it's hard because I have to be professional at all times, even when I don't want to be. And I have to remember these things when I speak to people. And I try to lead with love and encouragement, but it's hard, man, because like I've been cussed out, I've been blasted on social media, I you name it, I probably dealt with it. But the one thing that my mentor always told me was, look, man, as long as you stick to policy, data, and facts, you'll always come out on top. And that's true. And so, you don't have to like me, but I'm gonna tell you how it is. And afterwards we can hug or cry it out. But you got to be honest with parents, man, because if you don't, they're gonna have a very false sense of who their children really are. Because there's two stages. There's the stage at home, and then there's a stage at school. The stage at school has an audience that they don't have at home. So when you call home and say, hey, Johnny was doing this, they're like, what? Not my Johnny. And you like, yes, ma'am, it was your Johnny. We got it on
They
camera.
act differently.
Yeah. So I mean, so
Yo,
yeah,
Johnny.
deal with that.
It's never their Johnny.
No.
Not my Johnny.
No, it was Janaya. But
Right.
not Johnny. I got it.
And Chris, I got, since you are an educator in that system, it seemed like even before social media took off and the internet took off, there still seemed like it was a fine line between parents disciplining their kids and the school system. At a certain point in time, it was like, hey, we don't want to hear about a certain level of discipline for your child, or it's going to be an issue with CPS or whoever or with the school. And that was even before social media. So
Yeah.
did that have an impact on, parenting and how, what parents are allowed or what they can and cannot do? What's, as far as laws and looking at it from a school's perspective, what was the effects of that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that depends on where you work. Because I can tell you, I started my career out in Detroit Public Schools on the east side, Carson's Lower East Side, by Mack and
Yeah.
Bewick. It was,
Okay.
straight hood over there.
I know it
But
well.
I
Yes,
learned so
indeed.
much at that campus. Man, I used to have parents ask me for my belt to whoop their kids. And I was
What?
like, yo, like, I mean, so, like, so in those kind of environments, we were like, do what you got to do. But you're right. I think in today's society, that would be frowned upon.
Sure.
But I think it depends on the district. Like if you're in a suburban district versus an urban district, a rural district, those things can make a difference. But there's people who have different philosophies of disciplining their child. Like there's some people who don't believe in spankings. They
For
believe
sure.
in the timeout, and they believe in verbal conversations and all of that, and that's
Serious.
great. But I mean, I just know how I was raised, and I'm not saying that I was raised perfectly, but I got that belt. And
Right.
I knew once I kept getting that belt, I was like, you know what? This ain't worth it. Let me just forget it. Let me just go ahead and line up and
let me
get it
start
right.
acting
And
right.
that was how my parents raised me. So
Yeah.
So New Orleans has a all-black male high school called St. Augustine. It's St. Aug. It's one of the best high schools almost in the country. And it started out, my father went there, my pastor went there. Most black men, prominent black men that live here in New Orleans have been to this high school, right? They graduated from this high school. They had corporal punishment up until I think like 4 or 5 years ago.
What's corporal punishment at a high school?
What?
They used to put them in a cut.
Yes.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Which used to be legal years ago.
It was legal.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
had that. Yeah,
Years.
definitely
Years.
that.
Now, don't get me wrong. Now they have taken it out, but these kids are still graduating at almost 100% rate.
Mhm.
They are not failing, and they are making millions. I think they did $3 million last year in scholarships. Like this school is not to be played with. But the discussion is, how do we make sure let's hone this back down. How do we make sure our kids are doing well? I mean, as much as I appreciate white kids and whatever fuck, well, I'm sorry, it ain't my thing. I care about our kids. And what are we going to do to make sure that they are good? And this is the kind of situation that we're talking about. Like our kids at St. Aug are doing well and graduating and going on to 3 and 4 levels of college after that, finishing secondary educations because they have discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't corporal discipline anymore. They used to. They can't do it anymore. They outlawed it and all this other stuff, whatever. But they said they can see the difference. But they have always, I mean, we're talking about senators and congressmen, and I mean, they do well.
Nice.
Because there is a high level of discipline. Children need discipline.
So you think discipline is you think discipline is missing?
My mama still come in my house think this hers.
That's funny.
Mine too.
Real talk.
Yeah.
And I wish I would question that. As much as, I mean, my mother and I are best friends, but there is a moment where she turns into Cynthia mama, and I'd be like, okay, yes, mom. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, let's turn the tables here a little bit. Like when we're talking about the kids of this generation, how they're growing up, let's go back to our generation, how we grew up. You guys have grown up and you've accomplished so much in your life. Let's talk about it a little bit. Mark, you wrote a children's book, which I never where did that come from?
Never had thought that. Go.
Oh, come on, y'all.
First of all, let me say this. Mark wrote a script. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and he gave me the script. Somewhere in my email it got lost. I'd asked for another script. He said no. He told me no. He said, "Man,
that's a bold-faced lie on your part."
He told me, "I'm not giving it to you again, Bert." That's what he said. I don't have it.
Maybe the third time I said no.
Maybe. But you went from writing a script to writing a children's book. How did that come about?
Well, Bert.
Here we go.
I always had a knack for storytelling. So, I mean, even as a kid, I would write poems, I would draw, just being a creative person. So, as I went off to college, I definitely had a love for film. So film was my thing, as you know, studied communications with the emphasis in film. And that's how I fell into screenwriting. Right. So screenwriting, again, was just another opportunity for me to express myself in storytelling. So fast forward, graduate from college, still writing screenplays, as you know. And, there's a bigger writing screenplays is more than just writing screenplays. It's the stuff that you don't see. It's trying to sell the screenplay. It's trying to get noticed, producers. I'm submitting my screenplays to festivals and writing workshops and competitions, which is cool. You get noticed, you get critiqued, good critique. But, I went from screenwriting to saying, okay, all right, I wanted, like I said, I got to the point where I wanted to give back. And I felt like the screenplays was cool, but I wanted to give back in real time. What could I do? I like to tell stories. So as it's funny that we started off with talking about kids and children. So what better way to give back is but start with the kiddos. So I was like, let me give back in the way that I know how, is through my storytelling. So that's when I wrote the children's book. The theme of the children's book is self-empowerment. So it's a cool children's book. It has a nice, fun story, got the illustrations, all that stuff, but it's a message in there of self-confidence. Because like we said, with social media and all the images, influences that our kids are going through or seeing, they're going to need this self-confidence to get them through the journey that they're going to go on. So that's how that's how the children's book all came about.
Did you sit down there one day and was like, I'm gonna write a children's book?
You know what, Mike? Literally, that's how it came about. I was like, what's funny? Those who are creatives, especially in storytelling, you always got stories in your mind.
Yeah.
You're always just thinking that way in a creative way. It's just how it happens. So one day I was just sitting down and the story just kept popping in my head about a children's story, with the whole nine, with, the cartoons, the little animal cartoons, the whole thing. I'm just envisioning it. I was like, man, I need to do something with this. So I called a friend of mine. I was like, man, I think I'm gonna write a children's book. And she was like, really? I'm like, yeah. So just sat down and started writing out the premise of the story, characters, and everything took a life of its own, and birthed my first children's book. So
there you go.
Yeah,
Mark Davis.
Yeah.
What's up, Thrival Journey listeners and watchers? Look, if you're someone with big dreams of entrepreneurship but need a flexible way to earn income while building your business, let me tell you about the Orions Group. Through our partnership with Arise Virtual Solutions, you can become a customer support professional, aka CSP, and start earning from home on your own terms. Arise offers a streamlined certification process, getting you trained and ready to work with well-known brands all across America. You can set your own hours, choose the clients you want to work with, and create a work-life balance that fits your entrepreneurial goals. The best part, you don't have to choose between your side gig and your business dreams. Being a CSP with the Orions Group means you can bring in extra income while have the flexibility to focus on growing your own venture, much like I did. Whether you're looking to supplement your income or need a bridge while building your empire, this is the opportunity for you. You interested? If so, head over to www.theorionsgroup.com to learn more about becoming a CSP with the Orions Group. Look here. Support your entrepreneurial journey while supporting the Thrival Journey podcast at the same time. All right, one more time, www.theorionsgroup.com. All right, we're done with the spot. Let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah.
Chris, you wrote a book too, right?
I did.
Yours is it more devotional?
Yeah, it's a 31-day devotional. It's called Fellowship with the Father, and I self-published it. It's on Amazon, and then I made it very cheap for everybody. It's like $10. So, but no, what
We'll
happened
put a link
was
in the description and everything so people can go to your stuff.
Yeah. I had, the Lord had been dealing with me about writing this devotional for a few years, and I just kept putting it off. And when COVID happened, I had nothing but time. And so I was already used to writing letters to the partners of our ministry. And so what I did was I basically went back and looked at some of those letters and just kind of compiled them into devotionals. And I tried to make it as very simple so that a kid could understand it. I didn't want to make it super deep. I didn't want to make it controversial or anything like that. It is just basic foundational principles that I think anybody could grab a hold to. And so, I had it for 31 days. There's 31 devotionals. Again, it's called Fellowship with the Father. And that's exactly what it is. It's a time you get up in the morning. Some people do their devotions when they first get up. And so I didn't make them super long. They're pretty short, in fact. And so I released that really during the pandemic, because before COVID, I spoke at a lot of churches, a lot of men's conferences, seminars, all that kind of stuff. And once COVID happened, they shut all that down. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, all right, if I can't go there physically, this book can go anywhere. And so that's when I wrote the book. I was like, all right, this is, anybody can get this wherever they're at. And so that's why I wrote it. And, I was finally obedient. So I did it. And I've gotten really good feedback on it. I didn't write the book to make money. I mean, that was not even a thing for me. I just wanted to put a resource into the hands of people who needed something from God. And so that's what I did.
That's you, Chris, a good heart guy.
Such a good guy.
And we get to Miss Reagan. Reagan, oftentimes I think when you came to Los Angeles and visited me, and we went across that, huh?
That was right before the show too. Was that before the show or during it? It was before.
Way before.
Yeah.
And we went out to. We were in
Santa Monica?
Malibu. We went to Malibu because we went across the Topanga Canyon. Did you drive or did I drive?
I drove.
You drove? And
you weren't going to take me nowhere.
You remember that? I did.
all right. She got to control it. But I had a good time. I often think about that. And it was so good to see you then. Of course, we talked since then.
That was before the show. That's crazy. Yeah.
And life does what it does. Life did what it did.
It did.
And your life changed in many different ways.
Completely.
And let's talk about you being a chef now and placing fourth on MasterChef. Like, how did that come about? I mean, talk about it. Like, I remember you called me.
Every time I say it or hear it, it's like, really, God?
Yeah. And I remember we had a conversation before the actual show aired, but I was, really excited for you. And I got to see Reagan Sidney on MasterChef.
On TV, on national TV.
On TV.
Showing out.
How did that come about?
Okay, so pandemic, same as Chris. Like, God was really dealing with me, and I would say this, my pastor said this. This is the time that if you want to change or elevate your life, do it now. Perfect time. Like, there's nothing else happening.
Right.
Go get it. And then he looks at me just like we're talking right now, and he looks through the camera because we're on like that Zoom thing. And he's like, Reagan, you like to cook. You should go live. And I was like, go live? Like, yeah. He was like, the same way you do with the radio show, do it with cooking. And I was like, oh, okay. 2 years, every Tuesday, I went live. When I came out of the pandemic, I got a couple phone calls from a couple different shows. Like, hey, we saw your videos. We think you're funny and amazing and all the things. And I was like, huh, me? It's like, yes. And then I got a phone call from an 818 number, and that's LA. And you always answer LA phone calls. And he said, hey, I just want you to know, I think that you are the perfect person for MasterChef, and we would like for you to be on the show.
So that's how that started.
I did not call them.
Wow.
Because whatever God has for you, He will chase you down.
Say that. That part.
Church over here
will literally chase you down.
Yeah.
You do not have to go after it. It will come and get you.
Yeah.
In that moment, well, first what was it like being a contestant that placed fourth, almost in the finale?
How was it? Fine. So we'll talk about that in a second. Let me get there. Okay, so out of 40,000 people that applied, now remember, they called me. 40,000 people applied.
That's a lot. That's a lot of cooking people.
They brought 80 people to the show. Out of those 80, and I remember the day that I made it, and I don't talk about this story often at all because it's a little personal. That's a little different. Well, at this point, we had been there for a week and we had did all our auditions to just get on the show. Like they do a whole nother set of auditions just to get on the show. Excuse me. And so I'm like, they're like, everybody has to be packed by like 7 a.m. and you have to go downstairs and you have to be ready. And they're going to call you, but like 9. Well, it's 10. They ain't called me. I'm like, oh, Lord, Jesus. Oh, Father. This is not how it was supposed to go. Oh, God. I done packed all up. I'm taking a long time, though, because I'm taking my time because I'm like, I know y'all not sending me home. I'm trying to stay in this same room.
Right.
They came and got me. They brought a wagon to put all my stuff downstairs. And when I walked in the room, I'll never forget this. I walked in the room and everybody was like, you're here. We made it.
So based on your presence.
Based on my presence. Because I was literally I think the third to last person that made it into the room. Based on my presence, they knew that they had made it onto the show. And they weren't wrong.
Because that's who you are, as you always been. Your presence is pretty strong. Your energy.
They weren't wrong. I promise you. I was like, oh my God, what y'all talking about? I was like, we made it. They was like, we made it. I was like, we made it. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. But that was the 80 that made it onto the show.
Mm-hmm.
Those 80 had to bring down. I'm sorry, those 20. So in this room, those 80 had to become 20.
And that's what we see on the TV.
That's what you all see on TV. The 80 that becomes 20.
Yeah.
Were you scared? Talking to Gordon Ramsay.
I just knew whatever was supposed to be was going to be. I could not. There was nothing I could do. I'm 45 years old. I'm older than half the people in this room, more than half the people in this room. I'm the top. Me and Michelle, and I think 2 other people was my age.
That was it.
Yeah, but you don't look.
No, you don't.
You don't look like it.
Okay, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Yes, it did.
And I'm
starting to look like I'm in my 40s.
That's not at all, but I'm brown skin. I'm not a little girl. I'm not skinny. I'm not, all the things that society tells you that you aren't. And here I am, literally the face of this show this year, right? Like I'm watching the program and I'm watching all the people. And it's me every other second. If you go back and watch the commercials, I'm on the commercials. They're giving this Black girl all this moment. You couldn't see all that.
Yeah.
That's good for you, though.
And not just me, for us. This was about all of and I really do mean this. Like, I'm so grateful that I was able to show what Black women can do.
So you put the representation
at a greater age, right?
Yeah, okay.
So when I meet people on the street who literally stop me all the time. I watched you and you were amazing. And I'm like, I was us. Because it get greater later, baby.
Because when you're actually on the show, you are a representation of the collective.
All of us. It's not just me. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be the representative. But at the end of the day, this is not about me. This is about all of us.
Well, and
so in that moment,
you know what that's like too, though, my friend. I mean, you were on one of the top television shows.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, so you had some success in that world yourself, and I'm sure you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, back to you.
A little bit.
Back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Now, actually, when you're in your moments, when you're sitting down thinking about creating scripts or writing another book, or you're in your world of being a chef and catering, do you feel like you're in your purpose?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is it like to
Doesn't feel
live?
like work.
Because it's not work.
Does
Yeah.
not work.
Now I'm tired, but I'm
For
not.
sure.
But I'm not. And I'd rather be spent than done.
Right.
Two different things.
Yeah. Now, on this journey, though, there's been failure, right? Like, what has failure played, or how's that played in your journey?
Who wants to talk about that?
Man.
Well, it's a part of life. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of being a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a big part of it. Mikey,
It's a huge part of it. It's
Okay, how'd you overcome?
Go ahead, Mike.
It's the reason why we can enjoy this moment, right?
For sure.
Because if you don't know what that looks like, you have no idea what it's like. Do you know what it feels like to be broke and cold?
That's what I'm getting to. Like
Broke and cold.
We've all had our spaces where being broke and cold. I don't know about Mark, because Mark is always on top. But
What?
Mark he's just that cool person that you look at, you be like, man, that dude just got it together, man.
Nah, see, yeah. But that's just perception, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I think through tragedy is probably one of the biggest ways that I'm finding myself, and I'm embracing change. And we spoke to just evolving as a person. The good has a place, and it has it's part of the process. But I think the bad, the no's, hearing no, being told no, has a part in that process as well. Probably an even bigger role than what we can imagine, because it makes us more aware. We feel it a little bit more, makes us a little bit more aware of what is and what isn't. So through tragedy was one of the biggest catalysts that took me to just different heights of becoming who I'm ultimately was brought here to be. So, yeah, for sure.
Preach, sir. Real talk. It's the nose.
It's the nose.
It's the cold nights. It's the how I make this bill get paid. It's
but you gotta trust the process, right? Yeah.
But
it's hard.
I think too.
Remember, as a single woman, we make significantly less than men do.
Which is it's not cool.
Period. Like, I don't care what I'm
like, we doing the same job.
Right. Yeah.
Taraji P. Henson. Taraji P. Henson, she had a thing about that. And it's a real deal.
It's a real thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was
Chris,
just
what you
about to say? I think like Reagan hit it on the head earlier. I think I'm a firm believer that what God has for you is specifically for you. And I think we have to stay away from that thing called comparison, because it's very easy to fall into that trap. And, I had a mentor tell me years ago, he said, Chris, you got to understand something. Some of the no's that you got that we've been talking about, some of the things that you thought were for you or that you really wanted, you will never know what God saved you from by those no's. And I think sometimes, we get frustrated or we get mad because we didn't get that job, or, we didn't get that house, or we didn't get whatever, the relationship didn't work. And it's like, if, sometimes it's like with God, it's like, he's like, look, you don't need that. And you don't want that. You may not see it right now, but you will see it eventually.
Amen.
And if you look back in your life on specific things that didn't work out, you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad I didn't date that. I'm so glad that that job went, that company
It's
went,
closed
up
doors.
in arms, so there's so many things how that this journey we're on, the way it works. But the thing is, you have to take each step that's in front of you. And I
Yeah.
think that's how God works. He doesn't always show you the big picture. He's just like, okay, do this. Oh, you did that? Okay, good. Do this. Okay, now do this. And then as you keep going, you start to see the bigger picture. But very rarely is he just like, okay, bam, Reagan, you about to be on this awesome television. Could you handle that? If he told you that, could you handle that?
10 years before? Absolutely not.
Right, there you
And
go.
and that's the closed door that you're talking about. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Like, I had no idea that I could cook like this until I took 2 years to hone the craft.
Right.
Mhm.
Right?
Oh,
Like,
Yep.
God had to literally prepare me for that door to be opened.
mm.
More than anything, he gave me a radio show for 3 years so that I could learn how to talk on TV.
Oh,
And it was a TV show. It was a radio show that I had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
And I woke up with you
3
a
years.
lot of times. I wake up like, that was Reagan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, how? And he said, because I have an expected end.
There you go. Yeah.
And we never know what our future is. I mean, we can create it in our minds and our souls and whatever. We can create what the future is going to be. But on that journey, we never know what it's going to look like. We don't know the ups, the downs, the ins and outs of what lies on our journey in our purpose-driven life. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back to one thing Chris said, and I think it's super important. We got to thank God for the closed doors. Like, there are things that you can see it behind you. Like, oh man, I'm so glad I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I so grateful. But then there was one more thing that you said. God will show you, don't do this, do that. But if you don't pray and connect with him, you can't hear. Biggest part is being able to hear.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss that voice. If y'all don't hear nothing else from us today,
Yeah.
you gotta be in tune. That piece right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super saved, whatever you want to call it. I ain't Chris. I ain't married. I do things. I have a life.
Like that.
However,
Hey,
Yes.
no judgment. No
Here.
judgment.
not at all. I hear from God regularly. And when I don't, I stop. I move. I fall out. I do whatever I need to do. Because I know I'm supposed to hear from him daily. And if I don't, there's something going on.
But you know what, though? That's part of the journey. We all
is.
4 of us, if
It
you go
is.
back to when we were in Kalamazoo,
That
look,
part.
we all have a past, okay? We
What?
all have done things. I'm, look,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, look
we've
at Chrissy.
all done stuff,
Y'all don't let him tell y'all that.
but
Right.
we
That's
evolved.
what we know.
That part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's what makes us who we are, and,
It
and
is.
that's what allows me to have very
This kind of
transparent
relationship.
conversations with my
Yes.
daughter, who
Yeah.
my daughter is doing in college now. She's going to parties, she's got her friends, and I can have genuine conversations with her and say, "Hey, babe, yeah, I did that," or "Hey, babe, don't do this,"
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
mother as well. But that's why I don't look back on my college days or when we were young adults and be like, man, I shouldn't have done that, because that's how we learn. You learn
But
by
baby,
doing.
we had us a time.
Yeah.
Oh, we
So,
had us a time.
Yeah.
yes, we did.
We
Yes.
1998.
Yes,
That's all I'm gonna say.
back in the 1900s.
Back in the 1900s.
98 was a year, man. I'm telling you.
Baby, 98
It
was
was.
the year.
I'm telling you.
Oh my
98 was
goodness.
wonderful, actually.
It was a great year.
That's funny. You know what? As I'm thinking, as you're sharing all this, if your life was a movie, What movie would it be, or what would be the title of your movie?
Ooh, Lord.
Dang, that's a good one, Mike.
There's some good thoughts right there, right?
All right, I'm ready.
You know what? The movie that comes to mind for me is Malcolm X. And I say that because Malcolm went through so many different evolutions of himself.
Okay.
Okay.
There's no Malcolm X without Detroit Red.
Right.
So when I think about my life and all the changes at certain chapters of my life that I have gone through that brought me to today, I would say, man, Malcolm X. Malcolm went through all those changes to become the great man that he is today, and so have Mark Davis has went through, like y'all said, those times at Western, or even before that, the times in high school, the times in college, young adulthood, all the mistakes. Reagan said, "Man, I wish I would have done something differently, or maybe I could have done it that way." All those things, but all those things adding up to today and making you that person that you are today. You wouldn't go back. You wouldn't change none of those things.
For one thing.
Yeah.
You have, hey, I have no regrets, right?
For one.
Yep. Because we understand, I think we're aware of what the things like we were saying that's supposed to happen.
Right.
What was supposed to happen did happen, right?
Absolutely.
To guide us to where we're at today in this moment. So
Yeah.
the movie I would say would be Malcolm X, and that's the reason why. Yeah.
Listen, Mark, I like that, man.
Yeah, Mark. That was dope.
I was just trying to set the tone. So
you got a central theme and everything.
Yeah, because you definitely turned mine out.
You said movie, Mike, so it got my, you know me.
Yeah.
There you go. You should have been the first person to answer, right? Chris, what about you, or Reagan?
No, Chris, go first. I'm last.
So, I mean, I don't think I don't know, there may be a movie called this, but I would, as you ask the question, and I'm reflecting on this conversation. For me, the name of my movie would be Full Circle.
Ooh.
Because we've come full circle to the point where, I don't believe we've arrived. Like you never arrive, you know what I'm saying? And once you feel that way, that's a dangerous place to be. But
you might as well be on your way out.
Yeah, exactly. But when you look back from where you were, as a freshman at WMU in 95, 96 versus where we are today, November 20th, 2024, we've had a lot of full circle moments there, as adults, as professionals, me as a husband, as a father. I look at my life and I feel like I was married at 25 years old. And I didn't know how to be married at 25. Like my parents, I had a great example with them, but there's no like book on how to be married. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
You got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so I was a father at 27, then then I was a father again at 31 and, dealing with balancing career, my wife, her career, my career, changing states and cities, going somewhere where I didn't know anybody except for I just listened to what God told me to do, came to Texas, left everybody back in Detroit.
And you absolutely love it. The South is amazing.
Love it. I was mad. Look, when I got here, I was like, man, I should have came here 10 years ago. But, anyway. So I would just say it's a full circle moment, but it's not done. It's continuing to evolve.
Hence circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Reagan.
Well, I'm not that creative, so
lies. All lies you tell.
I am so I find myself as Nia Long in both the Best Man and the Best Man Holiday. Like I am super successful and was hung up on somebody for a very long time. And I couldn't break it. I didn't know how to.
Is this from the conversations that I know we've had in the
You already
past?
know.
Okay.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. Everybody, I just,
Word.
I loved that person so much that I didn't know how to not.
Mm.
And it was one of those moments in my life, and it's probably why I'm not married to this day, because I never knew how not to love them. And even 20 years later, I don't even trust myself to love somebody.
Mm.
And matter of fact, like I told a friend of mine today, I just broke up with somebody a couple of days ago, and I didn't do a very good job of it, and I felt bad. I had to apologize. I'm not your girl. We can't do this. So I'm Nia Long in the fact that I'm super successful, love my life, but I love my life, and I'm not unhappy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I wish I understand when people, oh, she's just broken and blah. I ain't nothing broken about me, baby.
Okay, baby.
I'm good. Trust me. I love being in this house by myself. Me and my old boy right here, we good.
Amazing Souls. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Orion's Health. Now, we're excited to introduce you to an incredible health and wellness brand that's transforming lives. Live good. At Orion's Health, we're committed to providing you with the best products for a healthier, happier you. That's why we partner with Live Good, a brand known for its premium, science-backed wellness products that you can actually afford. Whether you're looking for the best in supplements, personal care, or health support, Live Good has something for everyone. Now, I have a few personal favorites of my own, from the mushroom organic coffee to the organic super reds and the organic super greens, which are all pretty delicious. Now, you can join the Live Good movement through Orion's Health in 3 easy ways. 1, become a retail customer. Try out any of the high quality products with no commitment at all. 2, become a member for just $9.95 a month. You can save up to 90% retail on all Live Good products, making your wellness journey affordable and accessible. Or 3, become an affiliate. Want to make some extra income? Join Live Good as an affiliate and get paid while helping others discover better health. Now, the best part of it all, by supporting Orion's Health and Live Good, you're directly helping support this podcast and allowing us to bring you more valuable content week after week. So, whether you're looking to feel better, save money, or even make money and save money at the same time, Orion's Health and Live Good, we've got you covered. Now, head over to the website on Orion's Health's page to learn more and start your journey with Live Good today. The links will be in the description of the show. Remember, your health is your greatest asset. Take one step today with Orion's Health and Live Good. And thank you for supporting this podcast. Now back to it.
So my question was, no, I just wanted to know if Reagan saw herself or was interested in the idea of marriage. And the reason why I wanted to ask that is because I was just going to tell her that, God will give you the desires of your heart. And just like he did with the show that you were on, that turned out amazing.
Right?
A mate for him is just as simple or just as easy. So I just didn't know what your
All right, Bishop. I see you, Bishop.
Well, we have a preacher in the house.
Yes, indeed.
That was
3
good,
Christians and a
and it
Buddhist.
was a good word. However, no. Like, honestly, no. I just want to be with somebody, and I don't know if I dumb myself down for this or not, but I just want to be coupled. Like, I like having a person around, but not every day. I don't know how you sleep with somebody every day. That's weird. And I don't know how, but also, I haven't ever been with somebody ever every day. I mean, I guess it's since back in the 1900s, because we literally damn near lived together. So I don't know what that was. I don't know what it's like to not have to not to share space with somebody like that.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, it's a space thing. Honestly, I have to be honest about that. Like, I don't think it's more than. Of course, I've been in love a couple times. Well, I've been in love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mike, what
Been there.
about you, Bert?
What'd you
What-
say?
what?
What we asking here?
I'm
Yeah,
asking you
Mark.
the same question.
What's the question again, there, Chris?
Because all of us are single. Don't just put this on me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sharing the love. I'm taking over the host duties for Mike. So I was
Thanks.
Right,
asking.
I see. Yeah.
No, so I was Mark. I was saying
Anybody can
about
ask
you. Like,
questions. It's good.
do
No,
you
I
ever?
was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was saying, do you see yourself, married, or is that something that you want to do, or are you interested in?
I would say so. I would say that I'm open to the idea for sure, especially now more than ever. I would say that I'm definitely open to the idea. I mean, it was cool to do my thing, back in the day, and no strings attached. But now I want some strings attached. And but I think again, like I mean, we had conversations about becoming, right, and I think for me, in the past, I don't think I would, even though I might have wanted it, I don't think it would have been the right time. So I feel blessed that things happened the way they have happened
Yes.
to set me up to be successful when that time happens.
Yeah.
So whenever that time happens, and if it's in God's plan, I feel like that I'll be ready to walk through that door for sure.
Indeed. Mike
Yes,
Burke,
sir.
Good
your
answer.
turn.
I'm like, to be honest, I'm like Reagan. No, I don't. Coupled, having made for life. Yes, I don't. I think it's a space thing for me too. Like, I like my space. Don't like living with people. I mean,
Hey, can I tell them real quick about how you hooked me up?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You like what?
So and Reagan, you'll appreciate this. So back when we were at Western, our fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, we like to try to support other organizations. And so there was one weekend where YBBW had something called the Quiet Storm. I don't know if y'all remember that. Nothing but slow jams. That's all it was, slow jams, right?
I can't believe. Of course, you remember this.
Yeah.
But,
So that weekend there were some other events going on, and so what we
Wait,
would
your
do.
wife went to Western?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
I do not remember her.
Well,
That's so crazy.
well, there's a reason why you wouldn't, but I'll tell you in a second. Yeah.
All right.
So we all divvied up. Like, there was a party at Grand Valley's the bros were throwing. So we had the brothers that went there. Me and Mike were assigned to go to the YBBW event, and I think there was another event. So we all kind of split up. So when we get to the Quiet Storm, my wife walks in and she's with. At the time, I didn't know this was her brother, so she's with a guy. So she walks in, and I'm like, man, who was that? And Mike was like, I know her. And I was like, man, you don't know her. And he's like, man, we work together. I know her. I was like, go talk to her then. I want to see you go talk to her. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I'll be right back. So he goes over there, and sure enough, he's talking to her for about 10 minutes. And he comes back, and he's like, yo, that dude she's with, that's her brother. So I was like, oh,
wingman.
And I kind of figured, because her brother was on the dance floor dancing with all kind of women. So I was like, look, this dude must be either.
She went to Western?
She went to Western, but she graduated. She came out in 97.
Oh, okay.
But then she went to law school in Chicago.
Okay.
She came back to Western for her MBA. So that's where I met her, was in grad school, because I was.
Turn up, daddy. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, she's a little older than me,
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that because she didn't look it. And so when we were dancing, I'm asking her, like, trying to get to know her, and like she's telling me all this stuff she had been doing. She was like, well, I used to work at GM, and oh, I was in the military, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh,
I'm like,
what's
wait.
going on?
I'm thinking you
No.
22, 23, Well, at that time she was 29.
Yeah. And you
So
were what,
so it
21?
made sense. Yeah.
20, 22?
What?
Right. So I was like, okay. But yeah, Mike Burt had his hand all in that. So yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have foreseen that they will be together forever.
And look at
There
that.
you go.
Yeah.
I had no idea she was older than you, but that makes sense.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, if you
I did not know her.
she like I said, she wasn't on the yard like that. I mean, because like you figure she was gone our sophomore year?
Oh
You
no,
know,
because the conversation definitely came up, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And then she came
But
back.
why you didn't ask Mike? I was like, why would I? Why oh,
Yeah.
Well, we could talk
ain't my
forever.
monkey, ain't
Hey.
my circus, man.
But you know what though? And Reagan, I'll tell you this. I remember this like yesterday. I was in my apartment, and this was probably October of 1999.
Okay.
And I was praying, and I had asked God, I said, Lord, I need you to send me a wife because I'm tired of, doing the do. I'm tired of, this rat race.
Yeah.
And
Doing that
That's
thing.
life.
I just,
Being that Chris.
I'm just being real. Like I
Yeah,
was,
no, that's real.
doing the thing, whatever. So I just was like,
Tell you wasn't.
I'm
Shut
just
up.
kind of tired of it.
I'm a star brother. I know. I got stories.
Look,
Yeah.
I was,
Wait, what?
I just,
Yeah.
it
Not
just,
my innocent Chris.
it was, I
Hey.
just felt like I was tired of it. And so I was like, Lord, I need you to send me a wife. I met Monique in February of 2000.
Wow.
So you figure that's what, November, December, January, that's 4 months later.
Chris, what I'm gonna tell you is this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
And that's cool. You don't have, that's fine.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
That's
you
your
gotta
journey.
you gotta do it when you're ready.
Yeah.
No, but I will tell you, I will say this. I've prayed that prayer. But I also, I go a couple weeks and I'll be like, you know what? Never mind, dog. I got this. At the same time, I just, it's not that I don't want a relationship. It's not at all. I do. I want to be in a very stable relationship.
Mhm.
I just don't have the trust factor
Yeah.
to go past the relationship to marriage.
Yeah.
And once I have not met a man, I have honestly met a lot of amazing people, but I've never met my father of my child.
And women know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not married. I real talk. I have not had a child because I had never met the father of my child. And I ain't have no babies for no just regular nigga.
Yeah. Yeah.
This ain't anything that come out of this body.
Reagan brings the
It's not
real.
regular. And you can't raise a regular baby out this regular body. This ain't no regular body.
Okay. There you go.
Preach.
Well,
That's interesting. That's interesting. Because some might say, they might say that maybe you have met your husband, but you just wasn't ready to receive him yet.
No.
You know,
that's just a no.
that's just no.
There was one man. I'll say it again. One man. It was a long time ago.
But
And
life
we were
is
too young and too dumb.
life has a way of, what does people say now? Life be lifing. Life has a way
Yeah,
of
It
life.
does what it does.
Yes.
Yeah. We're about to, kind of bring this to a close, but I want to know, what would your person now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Man, I would say to my younger self, it's okay to be you. Lean into who you truly are. Be authentic. Because that is truly your superpower. You don't have to be anything else but yourself. And that's more than enough.
There you go. Mark X.
There you go. But yeah, that's what I would say.
I love it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I think for me, I would just say, take your time. There's no rush to get where you need to be. It's all in due season, and nothing that you can do is going to help you get there any faster, because even if you do, you're not going to be ready for it. And so you have to live in the moment and enjoy the process, because I think, we all want that glory, but you don't want to go through the process.
Okay, I hear you.
Process is what shapes you. It's what forms you, which is what you need. And so I would probably just tell myself that if I was, back at Western in 1995 in Kalamazoo. So
Nice.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well said. Well said.
I think I would say both of those things to myself. And I will also say that it doesn't happen today. Everything has a process, just like you said. And just relax. You ain't got to make it work. It will work.
It will work.
Yep.
Yeah. And I said this earlier, and I really truly do mean this. The blessings that God has for you will chase you down. You don't have to go chasing them down. That's
that.
not a blessing. That may even be a curse. So be very careful.
Mm.
Ooh.
Dropping knowledge. What's it?
Closed doors are closed for a reason.
Doors closed for a reason.
Fact.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
agree with
indeed.
that. What's the future look like for y'all? Minus this 4 years that we're about to go through. I don't want to get us started. I don't want to get started.
All make our own money. I ain't worried about these money. I am sorry. You got me misidentified, baby. This is a Black woman's nap time. Shut up and be quiet. We gonna sit here and let them manage this. White women, y'all go on and fix this. That's all y'all. Not all Black women.
Your future right now, nap time.
Nap time. It's time for me to have my own TV show.
Okay.
It's time. I actually hosted a woman that just finished doing what's the name of that show? What's the boy that is doing the #1 show right now? Alex Cross.
Oh.
She was one of the executive producers over at my house. I just randomly cooked for her this weekend.
That's a great. I just watched the whole dang on.
Oh my God, it was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. Oh my God, it was so good.
It was very good.
It's good.
Oh, it was so good.
Check it out.
You gotta check it out. It's super good. But anyway, let me stay focused, and then so y'all can talk and I can go to sleep. So I want my own TV show, and I know that there are times and spaces for everything, and I'm just waiting for that to happen. And like I said, this woman came into my house and she was like, I'm about to rework this whole show because you are perfect for it.
There you go.
Woo. Okay.
You walking in your purpose.
See that?
Yeah.
That's the essence of this show, walking in your purpose.
Yeah.
There you go.
And being in the right space and opening the right time and saying the right thing and hearing from God. Because I literally was like, I haven't talked to my friend all week. Why haven't I talked to my friend? Let me call him. What are you doing? He was like, oh, I was going to call you and say, I wanted to come over. Come over. I'm going to bring some friends. Bring them. Now, somebody else would have said, don't be bringing nobody over to my house. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Because closed doors are great, but open ones are too.
There you go.
Yes, indeed.
So if I could tell anybody anything, I know this is probably my last moment of talking, and I'm going to say this. Just know that everything that God has put inside of you, he's going to make happen. Because he is a God who is a provider. He is awesome. He is amazing, and he can see before we can. Your story is already written. If you don't take the steps, that's on you. Not him.
So all my Christian friends.
We're going to
okay.
pass the offering
Right now.
now.
And I'm going to go on mute so I don't talk no more.
No, we love it.
Don't go on mute. Hold
Don't go on mute. No, don't do that.
All right, Mark, Chris.
Man, what does the future looks like? I think it's bright. It's very, I'm very hopeful for great things to come. More love, more living, more life, more inspiration, more books, more giving, more becoming. We've been saying this whole podcast, trust the process. So it's more in leaning into trusting that process, but take it a step further. I want to surrender to that process as well. So
Good.
Yeah. So,
and that's for somebody who's listening that really needs that at that moment, and at this
sure.
moment, whatever moment that they're listening to. So that was well said.
Yeah, good stuff. So for me right now, I'm wrapping up my first semester of doctoral school.
PhD, Gibson.
I'm getting a doctorate in educational leadership.
Yes,
and,
sir.
You know, it was something that
Girlfriend.
I always kind of wanted to do it, but I just kept putting it off and off and off. And I finally just, the Lord was like, look, I'm going to keep bringing it up until you do it. And so at 47 years old, I was like, all right, you know what? Let me just go ahead and put the work in and knock it out in 2.5 years and I'll be done. So for me, that's my immediate future. But, I'm going to have a daughter that's going to be graduating college in another year. And then she's going to physical therapy school. So I'm still going to be paying her tuition and my tuition. So
Daddy duties.
I think, my future is really, I've been one of those people, how you ask people like, what do you want to do 5 years from now or 10 years from now? And I've never been good at that. Like I can't even tell you what I'm going to do next week. Cause I'm trying to live in the moment. I'm trying to take one step at a time. And I just try to take advantage of what's in front of me. And so I have some ideas of like what I would like to do, but ultimately I would rather be led to what I'm supposed to do as opposed to just doing anything. And so, for me, I would say that's my future as of today.
Got it.
Yes, indeed.
You know what? I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your minds. I appreciate how you gave to this moment and it was amazing. I think it's probably the best I've had podcasts that's aired and podcasts that's going to air after this, and this is probably one of the best moments that I've had on the podcast. You taught me some things, and I'm so grateful to have you guys in my life, even though it's across the screen like this, but it's all good because we do talk, and I appreciate you. I love you all. And thank you for being on the Thrival Journey podcast. I love you all.
Love you too, brother.
Brother, appreciate you, man.